Hey everybody, this is Christopher Moonlight, and you may have already seen my new documentary, When Hollywood Greenlit Comic-Con. And one of the things about this documentary was that I shot it on 2 consumer cameras. I had no sound equipment, and it was in a convention, the San Diego Comic-Con to be specific, and the noise was horrendous. And someone came along to save my butt, and that is Lauren Morris. If Lauren has taught me anything, if I didn't know it already, I know it now. Sound in your film is crucial. Did you want to kill me when you heard the sound on my documentary when I gave it to you? This is Christopher Moonlight at the San Diego Comic-Con 2012, and it's a very big convention.
No, because, you know, what struck me was that's the natural environment that we're in. That's how noisy it is.
You know, I still think it must have been a challenge, or maybe it wasn't. I mean, you know, you've been doing this for a while, and you've worked on some really impressive projects. My favorite that I'm looking forward to or terrified to see is Circus of the Dead.
I am dreaming, dear, of you, day by day. Dreaming when the skies are blue, when they're gray.
Directed by Billy Pon,
Yeah.
Otherwise known as Bloody Bill, but that's an anticipated movie, and I'm sure, you know, sound is really going to bring something to its game.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, in a horror film particularly, it's its own character, you know, and not only does it support the characters that are already there and the action and everything that's going on, but it really, if it's well done, it can be its own character. And as we're scoring it at the time, and we're watching the film at the time, and we're doing, you know, everything that we need to do to support the film at the time, we try to find as sound engineers, and we do find our own, you know, way to put our personal mark on the piece of art that's being presented to us.
And we're here in Austin, Texas, and there is a lot of independent film going on. And one of the things I've noticed is that when I'm on set, you know, a lot of people they're not aware of how to prepare to have good sound in their movie. What are some of the things that, I mean, I know you've done field audio, but what do you think people should be thinking about? I mean, they should definitely allocate some of their budget to making sure they have good sound.
There definitely isn't enough budget being allocated to sound because, you know, music is so readily available. There's so many incredibly, you know, talented people putting their music out there on the internet to be taken and to be used. But if you know, chop it up like that, I mean, to my ears, that's what it sounds like. You know, you're putting in pieces, and you're trying to, you know, put this puzzle together, and you put pieces of music in, and that's just what it sounds like.
And who on set needs to be aware of sound?
Well, you know, when I get a lot of requests to do, you know, noise reduction and you know, field audio, and it comes under a whole, you know, series of names. But when you're out in the field, there are 2 things that you need to be aware of. One is, you know, a few seconds before you say, you know, take, let's go, we're going to go. A few seconds before the dialogue starts to happen. And then after the dialogue ends, then you need to have a few seconds, as many as possible, of just silence of what is being recorded in the room. It's really important because what you record in the field and what you capture in the field is the moment in time, it's the environment that you want to create. if you're going out to recreate an environment in the field where, you know, it's a diner scene or whatever, so you're in the diner scene, and you have two people at a table that are talking, or, you know, whatever is happening, it can't really be business as usual for the day. Somebody coughing in the background, or, you know, making coffee, or whatever it is that they want to do.
Someone
so you have
hammering in the background.
Something, yeah. You have to think about the environment that you're trying to create, making sure that that environment that you're trying to create sonically is going to be there when you do your film.
How do you sabotage your audio?
Oh, God. Like that.
As if on cue. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're in a quiet area and you're doing, you know, take two, you know, blah, 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 take two. And as the dialogue is going along, you know, the director is in the back, you know, scratching it off the board right where the microphones are. And it's just that people don't realize the dynamic pattern of a microphone. And that's going to be the directional pattern that it captures, and the you know, ratio in the room that it captures, and the reflection that it's going to capture. And so, you know, they think nothing of it, and a sound person is going to hear that scratching going on, or the coughing in the background, or the air conditioning that just comes on, or whatever it is that happens. You know, the sound engineer is going to hear that, but the sound engineer is also going to hear how it is reflecting off that wall, and how it's reflecting off that wall, and how it may be bouncing around. And to our ears, that sounds really, really big, and it totally masks and, you know, interferes with the dialogue that's going on the set.
You choose a sound person because they are an artist, and just like people paint a certain way, you get people who handle sound a certain way. What excites you about sound? When people are going to you for sound, what are the kind of things that you feel personally as an artist you bring to the table?
Well, dimension in the mix. And I want, like, you know, for instance, with the Comic-Con thing, you know, those people were really excited in the moment. And they had some things to say about the moment as it was happening, but, you know, also the history of what's going on. So what's being captured in the film, and the environment that is being captured in the field, in the film. And for somebody on the post-production bay, you know, to take that and to hear the inspiration, the vision of the director, the performances of the actors, and translate that into a mix, which can go all the way to the output channel. That's what it is exciting for me, is the field audio that I get, the film sound that I get, the director's instructions that I get, the vibe that they want to go for, you know, the feel that they want to go for, because I can start creating that from day one by looking at stills and go all the way through to changing and enhancing the nuances on the output channel in the mastering process, which is a long way from the field audio capture process.
So LauraMorrisMusic.com, and if you're in the Austin area, or even if you're not in the Austin area, you definitely want to look at her website, because she really does work some magic. And thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I'm excited about what you do.
So like the chain is like this.
It's an amazing amount of stuff, Lauren.
Yeah. Here's a fat EQ right here. Here is the speech enhancer, and here is the denoiser. And let me pull this other EQ out first too. Yeah, that's not much going on there. But anyway, so most of the noise reduction that I do takes place in these first two plugins right here, this graphic equalizer and this denoiser, which just happened to work. It's a filter. I don't like to use a lot of filters, but it was really necessary on this one. And then I EQ it again after I reduce the noise. And then I put a speech enhancer, which is just another noise reduction, which further works on frequencies, but yet it's going to bring out the voices as much as we possibly can. Regardless of whether or not a post-production team, a director, the creative crew that's working on the film wants to pick the music for the film. Some people, or the sound design for the film, which is an area that people want to control or have a creative input in. It is an area of expertise that is best handled by a responsible, caring, and creative sound engineer. And that is somebody that's going to care about your project, and somebody that's going to care about the sound about your project and supporting the sound of your project. Whether that means cleaning up anything that happened that you don't want to be in there, creating a natural sound design, a unnatural sound design, a musical score, Foley, all these things. And so there are a lot of directors out there that are picking music and sound design and Foley and whatnot, and they're doing a pretty good job at it. But it always helps to have somebody on the other end of the spectrum tweaking the knobs, making the mix sound the best that it can be, putting things in the stereo field where they're supposed to go, and doing all these scientific mathematical things that the director can't do. And that would be because by the time it gets to your sound person, you're exhausted. And the last thing that you want to do is worry about whether something is a minus 12 dB or it's a minus 3 dB, or where it should be, and whether or not the music cue that comes in is at the right volume, at the right parametric curve, where whether it dovetails into the next segment the way it's supposed to be. You need to prepare for post-production audio.